Alright, response video to the Modern Mystic, I suspect. I suspect that's what it is. Yeah, it's a response video to him, I suspect. On inheritance again. So, I want to say something pejorative in the sense that it just seems like, yeah, he's like deliberately trying, okay, to not get it and distort the conversation for reasons unknown, let's just say. Is he supposed to be, above it all and kind of objective in his usual critiques of the activities of the human beasties. But anyway, so let's just deal with it step at a time. So sort of in the beginning of the video, he's saying that I left there, I created some sort of confusion apparently about what Rich I was talking about, which I did not do. So, he wants to start all off left-footed, and that's a way of doing it. Like, I somehow didn't make it clear that I was talking about the inheritance rich. And I was basically saying that the rich who, poorly earn it, let's say, the Bill Gateses of the world, the shysters, the crooks, the Google guys, those kind of assholes, wouldn't be a big problem if we got rid of the inheritance thing. That you could deal with a waster now and then, a Hearst, because they would go away. They would drop the fuck dead, and society could regain their capital and put it to constructive use. Yeah, all win. You could sell all the statues they pile up in their attics and all the little wooden soldiers they have in their castles and all the other crap. Put it all back on the market, put the land back on the market, and turn the houses into condos, and yeah, you could get your money back. But at the perpetuation of the inheritance wealthy, the Rothschild money that lasts forever, the slave owner money that lasts forever, yeah, that's a problem. And that's what I made it clear I was talking about. And so he's just, again, pretending, okay, that there was some confusion about who I was talking about. But yeah, I have plenty of not pleasant things to say about the Bill Gateses of planet Earth, and I have plenty of harsh words for the replicating poor. They're all blights on civilization, and that's the point, and it's how big a blight. And so I use the analogy of the Egyptians and the pyramids as just a clear idea that it's really easy to see that there's these choices you can make as a civilization. You can say, should we have canals and roads and waste management, or should we have big pointy stupid brick things in the middle of the desert? That was their choice, and they just chose incredibly badly. And that's my argument. The rich choose incredibly badly in their investments. So not only do they invest in the worst of the capitalist empire, the worst of the corporate shystery and chicanery, which is bad enough, but then on the personal side, yes, they create whole industries of personal indulgent nonsense that is insanely expensive and very low yield in human or animal comfort. So if that's the scale we measure it on, the yield in human comfort, their projects, their expenditures are very low yield expenditures in terms of its wasted work. It would be better if the money went to something else. It's a pyramid, okay? A Lamborghini is a pyramid. A mansion and a yacht is a fucking pyramid. It's of no value to our civilization. It doesn't build the infrastructure. So he just totally evaded dealing with the fact that there's a ton of very good things to invest in. And what he used as an example for his own purposes, something I didn't mention, was doing scientific research to lengthen human life. Well, obviously, I don't see any point in having 90-year-old old farts around for another 50 years. So even if you had converted that into doing medical research to make people healthier, younger, longer, so something that slowed down maturation, so you didn't get to be 90 until you were 150, well, that you could see some kind of use to, because then we'd have longer period of time where we could be constructively vital in society. And so that would have some use, some productive impact. But it's not exactly the kind of research I was talking about. I was even just talking about science for the sake of science. But regardless, I can go through a list of what's productive work, and we can go through a list of what is unproductive work, indulgent, non-necessities, and critique those, and critique how much is spent by who on these things. And I'm just saying that the amount of money the rich spend is a lot more money. So yes, poor people will waste money. If you give them money, they'll waste it. We see that happen all the time. I'm not saying they're not guilty. Of course they'd be guilty. They win the lottery, and what do? They piss it away because they're assholes. So I'm not saying the rich are some sort of special breed of asshole. No, they're common human beings with, no management skills, controlling our economy. And I'm saying they're not good enough for the job. It does take a certain kind of brain to spend money responsibly. And the average poor person certainly doesn't have that brain. What I'm saying is if you want to have a civilization, you better somehow get resources into the hands of brains that are capable of doing it sensibly. And not in some communist, control everything manner, but just in some sort of rational, let's develop a rational civilization plan. Where you figure out where all the duty goes. You don't just dump it in the fucking ocean. I mean, this is not that complicated to draw up a picture of what a good city looks like. Rational. Where you take out as many unnecessary steps as possible and all that kind of thing. And all this anti-government rhetoric indicating that somehow we can't do any of that anymore is just such a crock of shit. And for the convenience of the wasters. That's whose mouths it's usually coming out of. And of course the drunken, sports-loving, lottery ticket-buying poor slobs who also jump on that bandwagon because they're fucking idiots. Alright. So anyway, I waste management, this is called productive work. Alright, education, science, waste management, roads, parks. Houses. Yeah, houses. Yeah, building houses. You can't get much more productive than being a house builder, really. I mean, when you think about it, things last a long time. In terms of something that provides the most comfort to a human being, well, it's got to be a goddamn house. That roof over your fucking head thing really does come in handy when there's 3 feet of snow outside. So, yeah, that's a big one. And then this utility thing, energy infrastructure, food. Really productive. Not too many humans involved in that anymore, except for the million Mexicans we import every year to work for nothing, as part of the capitalist empire. And then technology. Yeah, we can have technology investments that aren't just about chicanery, that aren't just about finding some way to shove ads that you actually are paying for now. Let's get this. Let's have free ads and free broadcast television. No, now let's figure out a way where we can actually bill them $50 a month and show them ads. And this is the civilization you assholes have all fucking fell into because you don't dare say it, that it's waste. And that the reason why our fucking civilization sucks is because we put all the power in the hands of a bunch of assholes called rich people. And they are just that. They are assholes. Fuck. So, I mean, you could just do this so many simple ways. If you just tomorrow took all the money that the 1% have and you just paid the mortgages for all the working people, I'm saying you'd have a happier society. Now, would those working people just pick up some bad habits and mortgage their house the next day? Maybe. I don't think they're going to. I mean, you know, once the house is paid off, you really don't want to go back again to that woohoo, that evil paying the mortgage shit and the bank owning your deed. And once you have your deed, you want to keep your deed. So I'm not too sure they'd go back. I'm not too sure if you gave people a car they actually owned and then they had to think about the next time whether they want to just keep getting to a cycle of rent or whether they like this idea of actually owning it and not having a monthly payment for a few years. That maybe they want to think about doing it that way, paying as they go instead of borrowing off their future. So anyway, yes, the poor do waste money on drinking and sports and gambling. I don't know what else you could say. Movies, I don't know if that's too big a waste. I'd probably say that that had some real value added to it because movies are about thinking and philosophy and life, and they're part of education, maybe, cultural. So it's not all bad. It's not just complete garbage. Overpriced garbage, yes, but not complete garbage. So, you know, I don't think you have to sit there and have some specific direction that you're saying anything off of that direction is waste. But we clearly, I think, can make obvious distinctions between activities of work that have huge value added, like digging coal or something, and activities that have no added social value, like polishing marble in a house nobody lives in. So I just think it's idiotic to say we can't understand these huge differences and not understand that a huge part of our society now is just living servicing the rich. That we're making our money servicing the rich. And not only in their personal indulgences, manicuring their lawns and polishing their marble in their summer house that they never go to, and all that other crap work, but plus the crap work of working for their shitty corporations that basically say, you want a job, lie to the customers, lie to your fellow human beings, become a lying, conniving, shystering piece of shit, or else you won't get a paycheck. Fuck you people for fucking giving this any kind of endorsement as a way of life. Fuck you for creating this shithole because you won't dare say these jackasses who never earned it are squandering it. You're afraid to say that? I mean, come on. So I'll play a part of his clip. He keeps denying reality. He keeps thinking all work is work. If you got a paycheck, then it was good work. And it's just not the truth. There's a huge difference between working on the assembly line, building an automobile, and working for a company that's just trying to get old people to buy life insurance policies that rip them off. This work is entirely different. It's just stupid to sit there with any face and pretend to me that there's not, we can't tell the difference, that any job is a good job. It's just a bullshit. And that all work isn't work that all of us pay for in one way or another. If we're forced to do more work for the productive work that gets done, it's the same thing as making people work more hours. That everybody could work less hours if people weren't getting paid to steal our money. Fuck. Alright. So then at the end of the video he goes on to the, he reads these EODC documents or some other bullshit. Who cares what the fucking international banking community thinks about anything? But so they've recognized that capitalism is a race to the bottom. In other videos you were critiquing Marx and applauding people critiquing Marx. And Marx basically pointed out that that's where all goes, is a race to the bottom. The margins get smaller and smaller. You can't make the theft any, you can't put any more lipstick on the pig, and the game is over. You don't have any more lipstick. You don't have enough perfume. The whole thing starts to be a rotting fucking corpse. And that's what we have as a civilization, is a rotting fucking corpse. And you're not going to revive it or make it into anything. You got to bury it and start over. Because that's what it does. It just makes the rich too rich, the poor too poor, and game over. So anyway, and why even start? Why even have a conversation about growth in the context we're in? Why would you not just mock any organization that talks about growth in this context, until we have a solution to the environmental crisis and the energy peak? Isn't growth a non sequitur? Isn't growth a oxymoronic concept? It can't possibly be a solution to anything. It can't possibly go anywhere but into something called a brick fucking wall. So what? As a delay strategy, it's a good idea to have some growth? Yeah, let's import more poor people into all the civilized countries, make them less civilized so they can turn into absolute shit, and then have some sort of guillotine revolution. I mean, it doesn't even make any sense. So why even waste time with that? Why aren't you just mocking that as a joke right off the bat? Growth. Obviously, growth is not the solution. We have to find a way to live sustainably, and within a resource cycle that makes sense of renewables and sustainability. Sustainability is the word, right? It has to be a sustainable system. If it's dependent on new indebtedness, if it's dependent on making more slaves, then yeah, it's fail. All right. I mean, really, they had some sort of notions, like they talked about stuff like that during the slave days. But people could figure it out. Oh yeah, well, if we just keep making more slaves, then eventually there'll be more slaves than citizens. I mean, there's a point where you can't do that anymore. So isn't growth over? I mean, how? At what point does the world concede that growth isn't going to work? I mean, aren't we at the point where we can realize, hey, wait a minute, we can't keep doing this thing. We're drowning in our growth. Anyway. So, yeah, I mean, the simple solution is just to kill the reproducing poor and the capitalists. And then we can have a civilization. Kill metaphorically. Yeah, let the poor eat the rich or something. And we'll implant reproductive chemicals. This is what do you call that? Sterilizing chemicals. We'll shoot the rich full of sterilizing chemicals and let the poor eat them. Hopefully they'll choke and die. Ew, fucking spider. Sorry, it's not a pleasant looking spider. It was one of those little spiky legged spiders. It's really hot here. The power just went out for 5 hours for no good fucking... I mean, there's a little bit of a wind. Yes, okay, a little wind. But shit. 5 hours and it's just brutally hot. So anyway, no, it's not brutal. I'm not going to complain. It's better hot than cold. But anyway. Alright, so yes, obviously the solution is you have to have standards, so you have to do the isolationism in the sense of you have to isolate the principles they will not have violated. So you have to isolate principles like you can't pollute, and you have to treat workers like dignified human beings. And if you don't want to do that, then we shouldn't trade with you, and we should just steal everything you make. So let's be like China. Yeah, let's become like China and just steal all their technology. Let them do the research. Let them do the work, and we'll just steal it. I mean, this is just bullshit to let the third world tell us what civilization is. Fuck that. So yeah, needs to be a line in the sand kind of thing, and just somebody's going to have to say it, and say it a little louder than the assholes are saying it now, and say it without some sort of bigotry as part of the message. But I mean, the message has to be sent. You can't keep doing this shit, fuckers. Fuck this immigration thing. Fuck this growth thing. It's idiotic. Drown in your own fucking growth. Fuck the poor and fuck the rich. They're both huge, wasteful blights on civilization. They both need to be hit with a 2x4 or some similarly dense object. Yeah, so that's probably enough. But whatever. I don't know what to say. I just don't think you're going to give the argument a fair argument. Especially, like I said, when you use as an example of productive work, scientific research, and making old people live longer. It's not on my list. Medicine would be on my list. I could put health care on my list. But yeah, it would always be in some sort of context of, some sort of the necessary parts, the practical parts. Where you spend a few $100 on somebody, maybe a few thousand. But this whole $1 million human shit is shit. And who's doing that? Oh yes, that's another thing the rich people do waste their money on, trying to live forever. Anyway, yeah, that's probably enough. So I guess I could play this bit. He did sort of just drag this out a lot, and for 4 points he was making.
We could label waste. Do you get my drift?
So he's saying that anything off this direction thing, like somehow we have to be going in a direction. My point would be, the direction would be that you take care of the basics, in rock solid kind of ways. And, if everybody just quits doing this borrowing thing, you don't borrow unless you really have to, the game stays manageable.
But otherwise, it's just money that's spent into an economy, and it spins around. It turns around like in a washing machine.
Yeah, so he's just basically trying to say that every piece of clothes you pop in the washing machine is the same, and it's all the same, and blah, 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 blah. Every job is the same. And no, it is just not. All work is not equal in terms of its yield in human comfort. Just not. Some work produces a huge amount of human comfort, and some work produces absolutely none.
People turning it in and blah, 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 blah. And whether it's going to a ball game for a family of 6, or if it's a rich person buying a bottle of wine in a restaurant, that's just money that's...
Yeah, see, again, it's just not just money. The money, again, is made from the productive workers, stealing from their productivity. So the workers doing the house building and the road making and the utility creating, the rich steal a percentage of the value of their labor, and then they throw it back at us as a carrot, an incentive carrot, to do stupid things like polish marble in a house no one lives in. So you can keep saying that somehow good work. It's not good work. It's wasted sweat, and any wasted sweat is wasted fucking sweat.
Ruling around in the economy, the way I see it.
Yeah, well, the way you see it doesn't understand the yield question or issue. So again, show me the yield in human comfort. Okay, that's the game. That's the thing you measure it by. And by that measurement, all jobs are not equal. All expenditures are not equal. All investments are not equal. And yeah, what I'm saying is the inherited wealthy waste a preposterous pyramid amount of human resource, and they incentivize with that resource insanely stupid wastes of resource. So instead of Hoover Dams all over the place, we have mansions and yachts, filling the bays and estuaries and choking them with crap. Something like that. So anyway, till next time, I guess, and such.